Hey guys, let's talk about building your wedding menu. Now, in most cases, if you're working with a seasoned wedding caterer, like the venue itself or one of their preferred vendors, then more often than not, they'll actually have preset menu options for you to select from during your tasting. If you have a caterer who falls under this category, then most of what we're going to review in this video will already be taken care of for you. But you should still watch this video anyways to make sure that all of your bases are covered and you're leaving nothing to chance. So let's get started. So like any good menu, you want to start by making sure you have a good appetizer of some kind. If you're going with a plated dinner, this would be what we consider the first course, and will probably be something like a soup or a salad. But if you're going with a buffet, then you could just include an appetizer section as one of the first stops in that line. This could be something like a salad station or a tray of some warmed dinner rolls. Just keep in mind that your guests have already been stacking throughout cocktail hour, so your appetizer option should be rather light. Next up, we want to select your entrees. So as a good rule of thumb, you always want to have at least 3 options to include. A meat dish, like a chicken or steak, a fish option, like salmon or cod, and a vegetarian dish, like pasta or everyone's favorite, pizza. This way, you have a little bit of something for everyone's preferences. And if you have anyone who's ordering vegan, then you can always discuss this in advance with your caterer to have a specialty option ready for those individuals. If you're doing a buffet, it'd be a similar approach. You just add a station for each of the 3 meal options so guests can select what they want as they make their way down the line. And like we mentioned before, with buffets, it's easy to run out of what everyone wants. So make sure you've got backups ready to go for any of those popular items. It's normally the mac and cheese. Next up, let's talk about sides. Now, for most plated dinners, the sides will be dependent on what pairs best with the dish itself. But as a general guide, you want to include some kind of a veggie and a starch. So things like green beans, asparagus, zucchini, squash, these are all great options for the veggie side. And for your starch, most people like to go with roasted potatoes or couscous. These are also fairly cheap to prepare in bulk. So if you're doing a buffet, having 2 or 3 of these options in the line can go a long way with feeding everyone. And for the last course of the meal, we'll need a dessert. Now, traditionally, that's going to be the wedding cake that the couple just finished cutting. But a lot of people are starting to move away from this tradition and instead explore other ideas. We've seen things like donut walls, cupcakes, bundt cakes, chocolate bars, and everything in between. So that's totally up to you. But if you decide to go with a cake, here's a tip that will save you a lot of money. If you plan on serving your guests dessert from your wedding cake, you'll likely be spending anywhere from $500 to a few $1,000s on a 3-tier design big enough to feed 150 people. But if you just order a simple 1 or 2-tiered cake for just you and your spouse, and then have another cake with those same ingredients as a sheet cake being prepared in the back, this will give your guests the same experience they would have otherwise, but instead, you'll save a ton of money. Your caterer will be in the back preparing those portions, which, by the way, is way easier with a sheet cake, while you and your partner are off cutting your own cake. To put that in perspective, you can get a 2-layered sheet cake, which will feed about 85 to 100 people, for under $160. So the last thing we want to incorporate with this menu are any signature drinks you might want. Now, this is a great way to add a splash of personality to your dinner service, as well as potentially tie in your wedding theme. Once you've got an idea of what the bulk of your menu will look like, you can then take those meals and find some clever drink ideas to pair with them. A lot of couples end up tying in their signature drink with their new name or otherwise a clever wordplay on the wedding theme. Here's a good example. I once did a Harry Potter themed wedding, and their signature drinks were Butterbeer, Felix Felicis, and the Stag Patronus. Get it? Patronus. If you're a big Harry Potter nerd like I am, then you'll appreciate just how cool these are. And if you're not, then I probably just lost a few cool points, but your loss. But if you don't really have a theme or anything, you can always tie in your wedding color scheme or even the season itself, right? Lavender lemonade for the spring, apple cider sangria for fall, or maybe a peppermint snowflake cocktail for winter. There are tons of different neat ideas you can do here, and plenty of which can be made with or without alcohol. The last thing you'll want to consider is a champagne toast. Now, most weddings will have a dedicated round of champagne glasses on each of the tables for your guests to raise to a toast. Now, this isn't required by any means, but it is a nice thing to include if you plan on having any speeches during your reception. Just be sure to check in with your venue first before ordering any of the champagne, because some will already include this in your wedding package. So this should give you a pretty good idea of what you might want to include in your own wedding menu. But if you're still looking for some inspiration, don't worry, we got you covered. We put together a list of our favorite wedding meal options for a range of different prices. You can use these as inspiration or literally copy and paste them to your own menu. So once you've got your menu all laid out, you'll want to then review everything with your caterer and make sure there are no complications on their end. Now, some catering companies only allow for you to select from preset options in their menu, but there are plenty who will be willing to work with you and your vision. Just be mindful of your budget and remember that certain items you really want just may not be practical because they're out of season or just simply too expensive. You should be keeping your overall food budget between 15 and 18% of your total wedding budget. Once you and your caterer have locked down your final menu design, it's time to get it on paper and make it accessible for your guests via your wedding website. In the next video, Alex is going to walk you through this process using our example couple, Olivia and Christopher. He'll then be going over how to integrate this right into your wedding website so your guests can select their meal preferences when they RSVP. But as always, if you have any questions on what we covered in this video, please let me know. Thanks for watching, you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget that you can subscribe to our channel right here, and we will see you in the next video.